Today we're diving into a really beautiful and ancient song of praise called the Harvest Hymn. It comes from rural India, but honestly, its message about being grateful for what the earth gives us feels more important now than ever. So let's break down its timeless wisdom verse by verse.
To really get this hymn, you've got to picture the scene. Imagine a village. The fields are just overflowing with ripe crops, and the whole community is coming together. You can almost feel the music in the air, right? And this deep sense of respect and awe. This is way more than just being happy about food. It's a celebration of life, of hard work, and of the incredible forces of nature that make it all happen.
One of the coolest things about this hymn is how it's structured. It's not just one person singing, it's a whole chorus. First we hear from the men, then the women, and then for the big finale, everyone joins in together. This back and forth really paints this amazing picture of a community totally united in their thankfulness. Let's start with the men's voices.
Right away, you can feel that rhythm, that really reverent tone. The men kick things off by praising a Lord of the Morn, basically saying, hey, the reason our seeds grew, the reason our corn is here, is because of this incredible divine generosity. And they're offering up songs, flowers, and even the harvest itself as a thank you.
So, who exactly are they singing to? Well, the hymn is this gorgeous tribute to the most fundamental forces of nature. And the men's part? It focuses on the two things you absolutely cannot have a harvest without, the sun and the rain.
First up is Surya the Sun. The hymn calls him the giver of mellowing radiance. Think about that for a second. It's not just about light. Surya is the energy that actually ripens the crops, turning them golden and valuable. He's the very engine of life and warmth.
And that's where this idea of gold comes in. When the poem talks about the gold of our fields, it's not talking about money. No, it's talking about something way more precious, that rich, golden color of a perfectly ripe harvest. That's the real wealth they're celebrating.
But look, all the sunshine in the world won't do you any good without water. So now the hymn turns to that second crucial element, the rain. The men praise the Lord of the Rainbow, acknowledging that it's this divine mercy that really waters the fields and lets the grain grow strong.
And this is Varuna, the god of rain and water. He's praised as the sender of rain and the dewfall, and his role is absolutely vital. The hymn is pointing out a fundamental truth of ecology, right? Without Varuna's nourishing mercy, the sun's powerful energy is incomplete. It's all about that perfect, delicate balance.
Okay, so the men have praised the heavens, the sun and the rain. Now the hymn shifts. We hear the women's voices, and they turn their praise to the ground right under their feet, the earth herself.
And just listen to the change in tone here. It gets so much more intimate, doesn't it? The women call the earth a sweet and omnipotent mother, praising her plentiful bosom that feeds us. This is such a personal, heartfelt thank you to the direct source of everything that keeps them alive.
And this is Prithvi, or Mother Earth. She represents everything about fertility, motherhood, and that nurturing spirit that allows life to flourish. For the women singing, she isn't just a patch of dirt. She is the very womb where their riches have birthed and the source of all their joy.
This idea of earth as a mother is just a perfect example of personification. The poet gives the earth these very human maternal qualities. And that's not just some fancy literary trick. It totally transforms our relationship with the planet, right? It turns the earth into this relatable, caring figure that we can connect with on a really deep, personal level.
All right, before we get to the hymn's really powerful conclusion, let's take a quick look at the language itself. The words here are chosen so carefully, and they give the whole poem this timeless, almost sacred feeling. Some of them might look a little strange, but they're key to that reverent vibe.
So you'll see words like thou, art, and thine sprinkled throughout the hymn. These are just older, more formal ways of saying you, are, and yours. Using them kind of elevates the language, It makes it sound less like a conversation and more like a prayer.
And it's not just the old-fashioned words. The hymn is packed with these incredibly rich words of praise. Munificent means extremely generous. Beneficent means kind. And later, we're going to see the word ineffable, which is a feeling so huge and amazing you can't even put it into words. This vocabulary isn't just for show. It's painting a picture of a divine force that is truly magnificent and giving.
So, we've talked about the praise for the sun, the rain, and the earth, and the special language they use. But how does all this beautiful poetry connect back to the tough, physical work of an actual harvest? Let's bring it all together. Because behind all the celebration and praise, let's be real, there is a ton of hard work. The joy of the harvest, with all its music and dancing, is earned through serious labor, through using tools like the scythe to cut down the grain. The hymn gets that. It honors both the divine gift and the human effort that goes into it.
Now, it's really easy to hear all this and think, okay, cool, that's a nice song from a long time ago, in a place far away. But the final stanza? It just closes that gap completely, and it weaves all these ideas into a universal message that hits just as hard today.
And here it is, all the voices joined together as one. They're now addressing a single Lord of the universe, seeing the divine in, well, everything. It's in the seed that starts life, and in the scythe that ends the harvest. It's in the hands that do the work, the heart that feels the gratitude, and the home that keeps us safe.
That line about the seed and the scythe, that's so much more than just farming. It represents the entire cycle of existence, from the beginning to the end, from creation to conclusion. The hymn's final amazing message is that this divine spark is woven into every single part of our lives, from the grand cosmos down to our own beating hearts.
And that brings us to a really powerful question for ourselves. Most of us probably aren't farmers, but we all have harvests, right? The fruits of our own labor, the growth in our relationships, the goals we finally reach. This ancient hymn kind of challenges us to stop and think, what are we truly grateful for, and how do we say thank you?